Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. HeirofCarthage here, and I have something that, for me at least, is very special, and I'm excited to show you. It's something that I couldn't wait to get my hands on, and when I heard that I was going to have the opportunity to get my hands on it, I was extremely grateful and extremely excited. Yes, Games Workshop was kind enough to send me a launch box for the Tomb Kings of Khemri, which is coming for the Old World tabletop reboot of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. I am super excited. Now, you might be, why are you excited? You never even played Fantasy Battles in its original. I didn't even know it existed, folks. I played Total War for, 10 years or so, and then they announced this Warhammer thing coming, and I was like, what is that? I have no idea what this is. I wasn't even excited about it. But oh my gosh, the more I played, the more I realized that my Total War games had been missing all this time was Warhammer. The two were perfectly suited to each other. And I was introduced to this wonderful world of Warhammer. The miniatures were no longer made, though. They were discontinued. So to my great chagrin, I really didn't have a way to get to a lot of these old miniatures. Some of them still existed for Age of Sigmar, and I did want to learn how to paint, and many of my viewers encouraged me to go out and learn how to paint. Some of them even donated, and I was like, you know what, it's time to go learn how to paint. So I went out and I bought some Age of Sigmar's miniatures. I got some Stormcast Eternals because they looked easy to paint. And I learned how to paint, and I loved it. It was so much fun, and I felt hooked. And then I hear from Games Workshop that the Old World is coming, and it's going to be kind of a reboot to the Warhammer Fantasy Battles on tabletop, and I couldn't have been more excited, especially since I had been enjoying Total War Warhammer, Warhammer 2, and Warhammer 3 on the computer. This was great. It was the perfect opportunity, and then I was told by Games Workshop that I was going to have the opportunity to get hands-on. What a privilege. I mean, this is amazing. I'm so thankful, because I know that there's a lot of people who have way more experience with this, but they thought it would be interesting to get the perspective of a newer player. So, full disclosure, I was gifted the Tomb Kings box by Games Workshop. However, the ideas and statements and stuff you hear are my own. They haven't told me anything to say, and I'm excited to share it with you. So, as a new to Warhammer's Fantasy Battles, I'm going to give you some perspective on what it's like to get your first army and try and get it put together and get towards the tabletop. So this should be interesting. So let me dive in and start showing you what I have. So here is the set that they sent me, and again, thank you so much to Games Workshop for providing this. Yes, this is the Tomb Kings of Khemri. And man, it's an awesome starter box. Came with this sweet map, which is really cool. Can't wait to get this up on the wall in my game room here, my studio. And then yes, the awesome box art here. You can see that new Necrolith Bone Dragon. So I think it's some Tomb Guard actually, or maybe just the Skeleton Warriors. But yeah, super excited. And it came with some movement trays as well. So an opportunity for me to try and help make it easier to move my units around the battlefield. So a huge box set, 93 miniatures, and I'm super excited to show you what's inside. But I mean, this to me was just kind of an overwhelming feeling to have such a huge set, because I have put together miniatures and painted them, but never on this scale. So I felt like this was going to be monumental and super fun. So what is in the box, if you get it, is 40 Skeleton Warriors. There's going to be 32 Skeleton Archers. I believe it is 16 Skeleton Horsemen, 3 Chariots, a High Priest. I keep calling it a Lich Priest because of my time playing Total War Warhammer. And then you're going to have a Tomb King, or a Monarch of Nehekara. And then there's a Necrolith Bone Dragon, which is a newer model. So 93 miniatures in total. So again, a massive box. Again, especially considering the big box, I'm doing air quotes that you can't see. The big box that I bought of a Stormcast was like 20 miniatures. So this is a big step up for me into a big realm. But yeah, lots of cool miniatures here. I've played the Tomb Kings many times on Total War Warhammer, and I'm super excited to get a chance to build these guys. But let's get this box open, and I'm going to show you what's on the inside. What do the sprues look like? What kind of stuff do you get? Once we have the box open, you see just how many sprues are in here. Now there's some other cool stuff that comes in here. It's measuring tools for whenever we're actually playing the game. Like stuff for like measuring fire breath, movement, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, you can see there are just a tremendous number of sprues. These ones here on top are actually the Necrolith Bone Dragon, the Tomb King, and the High Priest, and then there are just countless sprues full of skeletons, which is exactly what you would expect, I think, from an army full of bony boys. So yeah, we actually have, these are the horses that go with the chariots. And again, just, I mean, so many miniatures here. Again, this is absolutely overwhelming for me. I remember opening the box and my wife laughing at the look on my face as I was just kind of dumbfounded with the amount of work that was in front of me. But at the same time, I had this childish glee and excitement for going to have the opportunity to be able to build all this. Let's lay it out and take a look. All right, so here we have the rule book that comes with it. So a huge, beautiful rule book, and it's full of all kinds of cool lore tidbits, and talks about all the factions. Really, again, I haven't played tabletop Warhammer Fantasy Battles, so I can't tell you, whether it's super comprehensive or not, but I'm excited about it. It's a beautiful book. The instructions here, nice color manual so we can see how to glue everything together. It's going to tell us how to put together our army, so this is kind of standard fare, I think, from other models I've seen. Nice big pack of dice here to help us get started. All the bases, both for our larger models and our skeleton warriors. Then I'll head over here and show you the contents. Again, just how many sprues we're talking about. So there's our chariots and horsemen. That giant pile is our skeleton warriors. And then that is our bone dragon and leaders. So again, just a tremendous number of miniatures here. I am so excited. And let's take a look at what we've got in front of us here as far as a build goes. I've got a few skeleton warriors that I went ahead and cut out and glued together. These are older miniatures. I mean, the only ones I'd put together prior to this were Stormcast, which were quite a bit newer, easier to glue together, a little more firm. These skeletons are a little more delicate, and what was cool is all of the customization options. It was both tricky to glue together in the sense that there was all kinds of different parts you could use. They were posable. All that's really neat, but it also did make it trickier to glue together, the newer stuff, but I got it, and I was kind of getting a feel for it, but I'm just going to show you here up close, what it comes like. So these skeleton warriors come on a sprue where you can kind of customize them, pick their weapons, pick the bodies and the heads and kind of the legs, and get everything posed the way you want. And you get them all glued together. But again, these guys, pretty easy. Probably took me 15 minutes or so to learn. And I'm going to show you kind of what it looked like in batches with these ones. So using the skeleton archers as an example, the way I ended up liking to glue these together after some practice is I would cut out the parts, kind of lay them out in order here with everything I would need. And then I would kind of just go through batch gluing them. And you can see these, I already glued the legs to the body. That was my first step. I would lay those down and let them dry, and I would kind of move down the line, and by the time I had moved to the end of the line, I was able to come back and do the next part, so like the head, and I would then glue on the head, and then, work my way down the line, gluing those on, and then I might come back and do a right arm, and then a left arm, so I just kind of worked through them in batches. And after a week or a week and a half of working through everything and taking my time, it came together, and this isn't quite all of the miniatures, but it's nearly all of them. Had them laid out on a tray. I was ready to take them outside. I bought a couple of cans of Wraithbone spray. I'm going to undercoat everything in Wraithbone spray with the idea that that awesome skeleton horde contrast paint will cover a huge majority of all these and really help me towards getting all these miniatures battle ready. But getting all of them glued together was quite an epic task. I don't do this full time. YouTube is not a job for me. I have a full-time job. I have kids. So I am, hopefully, like many of you out there, I'm a part-time hobbyist here, and it took me a couple of weeks through my spare time to get all this put together. But man, it was an interesting journey. It was worth it. I did leave some things in sub-assemblies, like from the Necklace Dragon. That's the High Priest and his mount, because I figured it'd be easier to paint that way. But yeah, it's all glued together and time to prime. Now, there's going to be a lot of ways you can handle it. For me, when it came to priming the miniatures, I bought a pair, or like a set of, they weren't latex gloves, but it was some kind of glove for painting that was similar, like a rubber glove that I could slide on. I went outside, I held the miniatures about 18 inches away, and I was able to then hold them and manipulate and turn them to where I could get into all the different directions with the Wraithbone spray to get a good coverage, so I wouldn't have to do these by hand. And it worked out really well. It was a little slower than maybe had I lined them up on paint sticks and done them in batches, but it did allow me to get really good coverage on all the miniatures with the undercoat. Now, you'll probably see a few spots in this that need to be redone, but overall I was pretty happy. I did not really have to do a lot of hand base coating. With that nice coat of Wraithbone from the spray, and man, the Wraithbone spray was actually really quite forgiving. The only other spray I've used from Citadel was Retributor armor, and Retributor armor, of course, comes out with a little bit different finish, and sometimes it wanted to kind of clog up the details if you got too heavy with it, and so you had to be kind of careful with it. A few times I accidentally got too heavy with the Wraithbone spray, and I was shocked how well it dried up very thin and didn't clog details, especially with someone like me who's still learning their way through painting. But it was a really nice undercoat, and I'm really glad I used it. Now, I don't have a lot of great equipment for showing you how to paint stuff. I apologize, this is about the best I could do, but I wanted to show you, when you get that nice Wraithbone undercoat, or at least the way I'm doing it, there's many ways, obviously, you could paint these. The Skeleton Horde is just so great. You can see it going on here, and just, man, it coats the model and really makes the bone look excellent. With just a single coat. Now, and to me, this is an easy way to get them battle ready. I do intend to come back through dry brushing or highlighting, layering, and you know, actually bringing these things up to more of a parade-ready finish. But my goal to start with is to just get the miniatures battle-ready, which is going to be in and of itself quite a trick. You'll actually see this one has a shield painted as well. I did a lot of testing with the shields, the different colors of blue. That was some kind of contrast paint I tried, and I actually hated it. I really don't like the way the contrast paints finish for me on flat surfaces. Clearly, I don't know how to do it on flat surfaces, so I stick to the textured ones. Ultimately, what's interesting, and I'll show you a picture of it here in a moment, I decided, since I've been painting so many Stormcast, I mean, the Tomb Kings are also eternal, right? Stormcast eternal. The Tomb Kings are eternal. They just keep coming back, that power of raising the dead. And so I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to paint these things as Tombcast Eternals. And ultimately, I decided on a color scheme where the blues were going to be Cantor blue as a base, like I did with my Stormcast, kind of using the Hammers of Sigmar theme. The gold would be Retributor armor. The weapon hefts would be Screamer pink. The weapons themselves, you know, I'd use Lead Belcher as the base. And so I decided that'd be kind of a fun way to approach this, would be to use paints I was familiar with. Obviously, you can take this any direction you want. I think these miniatures are neat because, you know, outside of kind of painting the bones, and honestly, you could even do the bones something crazy if you want. The Tomb Kings are gonna be kind of neat because there's so many ways you could customize the colors on their shields and with all the little details and weapon hefts and all the details that you get on the leaders. So I was pretty excited about it. And you can see there the Skeleton Horde. I very much like the way the Skeleton Horde works. It's been an excellent job, or an excellent paint for me. But in any case, let me show you the picture of what I'm working on. And then I'll go ahead and wrap it. Yeah, there you go. That's an example of what I'm going for when I'm actually using the Stormcast colors there. And here's a bit of a close-up shot. Ultimately, I'm going to do some, like I said, dry brushing, highlighting. I'm going to come back in and bring these things up. But this is kind of my goal to get to here with the Skeleton Warriors, to get them battle ready. The Skeleton Horde does a good job on the bones. And then, you know, with that Cantor blue, some gold, I feel like the archers and the Skeleton Warriors are going to be pretty easy to get up to a battle ready, and I really like the way that the color scheme is turning out. Again, obviously you can take this any direction that you decide to because that's part of the fun of Warhammer, right? But in any case, so what's my experience as a new player? So I'm going to throw some footage back up on the screen from Total War Warhammer, tell you what I'm planning to do with these miniatures from here on out, and then what the experience has been like for someone who is new to the tabletop version of Warhammer fantasy battles. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it is overwhelming as a new player to have this many miniatures and to think, how am I going to get through a project like this? But you know what I've found over the last few weeks that I've gotten to be hands-on with all this is, you just take chunks out of it a little bit at a time and don't worry about the end goal. It kind of reminds me of trying to gut my way through a cross-country race back in high school, and I wasn't good at it. It was a struggle for me to make it through one. And the best thing I could do was not think about the finish line, but to keep chipping away and keep going and just keep making it to that point right up in front of me. And that's what I've been doing with these miniatures, and I've already gotten quite a few skeletons up to battle ready. And I'll try and make some videos to update on this, because not only do I have to get this army painted, but I have to learn how to play a tabletop game. I've never played tabletop Warhammer Fantasy, so that is going to be a big journey in and of itself too. So I've been reading the rule book to understand the lore. I've been watching videos to see people do battle reports so I can learn a little bit more what it's like whenever a game's going on. It's been a real experience and it's fun. I'll tell you what, I'm in the northern hemisphere. It's extremely cold. They're forecasting a bunch of snow tomorrow, and I live in the south, for goodness sakes. I'm stuck in the house. There's not a lot of daylight. This box is a godsend. I have been able to keep my mind and my hands busy and working and focused on something during all the bad weather where I can't get outside. I'm not able to do a whole lot of anything else, and this is great. And I think that if you're someone who is looking for something to do as a hobby, you like this type of thing, building miniatures, building models. I built models when I was younger, mostly of like aircraft and cars and stuff like that. So it wasn't a huge stretch whenever I started to build miniatures because a lot of the gluing and painting and stuff is similar. There's so many resources on YouTube. I watched a ton of the videos on the Warhammer YouTube channel about how to paint. I watched Duncan Rhodes, both on the Warhammer channel and on his own later on. I love that guy. I learned a lot. I still have a lot to learn, and man, it is a rewarding hobby, extremely rewarding. And I have to say, like, yes, Games Workshop gifted me with this box, but I have bought miniatures before, and I don't regret it. And this to me is super exciting, and if Games Workshop hadn't gifted me this box, because of my excitement for everything and my desire to build this, I would have gone out and gotten it anyway. And been excited to go and paint this and enjoy it. And to be honest, just to help support the old world. Again, this is a decision for me. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you my experience. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go buy, a couple of reinforcement units too, because I want to support this. I'm excited for old world. I want it to get up off the ground. I understand from a lot of the stuff I'm seeing from people that it's not perfect. Some people are frustrated with like support for legacy factions. That totally makes sense. Hopefully things will start to develop and build and grow, and this will become what we all want it to become. I'm just excited to be along for the journey. I'm a first-timer here, and I would say that if you're a newer player and you've been saving money or you've been looking for a new hobby, this is definitely something to consider. This is going to be a lot of fun. It gives you something to just pour hours of effort and time into, but not only that, when you're done, like I have miniatures up on my shelf that I'm proud of every day when I see it. And they're so much fun to have and so much fun to collect. My boys like to see them. They like to ask me questions about it. I mean, it's just something that you can do and you can be proud of. And I am super excited for it. I just want to say thank you again to Games Workshop for allowing me to be a part of this. I feel like I probably don't deserve it, but hopefully this gives you all the perspective of someone who's new to this, what it's like to start taking this on. But again, I'll bring you some update videos. And I'll show you how I'm progressing. What challenges did I run into? Maybe you can learn from me and be like, oh man, he didn't do so good on that. Or maybe I can do better than that. Or maybe you all can even give me tips down in the chat. I'm super excited to hear from you. I'm excited for the old world to be coming to the tabletop, and I'm excited to get to be a part of it. So again, thank you to Games Workshop. If you all have any questions, let me know, and I will keep you posted on the progress of my Tomb Kings Eternal army, which hopefully I will have on a tabletop here within a couple of months. HeirofCarthage, signing out for now. I'll see you all soon with some more content.